Damas y caballeros, chicos y chicas, niños de todas las edades, bienvenidos al Blower Zeppelins, Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon, con el pensamiento correcto de un cerebro izquierdo, haciendo el trabajo que los American Media Maggots no hacen, operando detrás de las líneas enemigas de la California ocupada, en vivo y en directo, desde Estudio 23, de la vasta, rica, voluminosa y detestable SHR Media Network. Aquí está la mayor decepción de SHR, el Zeppelin Bloviating.
You're listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Leftist lies and globalists, I'm pushing them back. From the saloon to the airwaves, I'm spitting it raw. Constitution's my compass, liberty's law. Big guns creeping, shadows on the land. Feds with the schemes trying to bind up my hands. But I'm the Sherpa, guiding through the storm. Red, white, and blue, yeah, freedom's reborn. They spin their tails, but I see through the haze. Media maggots, lost in the maze. I'm calling it out, no fear in my soul. This patriot's fire ain't losing control. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Leftist judges twisting, trying to steal our rights, but I'm locked and loaded, got them in my sights. From J6 to the border, they're selling us out. I'm screaming from the mountain, hear my rebel shout. They mock the flag, but I'm holding it high. Stars and stripes forever under God's open sky. No globalist chains gonna cage this land. I'm the Sherpa with the truth in my hand. They push their agenda, but I'm breaking the mold. Their promises empty, their hearts ice cold. Chicago's bleeding, borders torn apart. I'm fighting for the people with the warrior's heart. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight. Torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas rising. Storms, I've walked the line, 41 years, badge on the grind, now I'm on the air, my voice like a blade, cutting through the lies that the traitors made. Hurricanes rage, but we're standing tall, sheriffs of the Constitution answering the call. From the saloon to the heart of the fray, we're taking back America, no more delay. Conservative Sherpa leading the fight, torch in the dark, burning bright in the night. Stand for the truth, won't bow to the game. Sherpas, come and remember my name. Sherpas hear my voice resound. Conservative Sherpa, freedom's battleground. Berserk, Bobcat, Rose will never kneel. For God and country, this fight is real.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am live and direct from an actual free state in N-O-F-E, northern Idaho, as opposed to where I once was, California, always spelled with a K. I was situated, about a mile from the veritable locus of evil in that entire state, in any blue state, the Capitol building downtown in Sacramento, California, always spelled with a K. I happen to be your conservative Sherpa, so if you want to, please, read along with me. I am guiding you through the insidious maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, tyranny, and betrayal. And I also admonish, you know what you really ought to do is you ought to jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room. Here it is. It awaits you. And all you have to do is do that. Just jump in. Now, perhaps you're saying something similar to, BZ, how and where do I do that? Well, you can do that from the SHR Media YouTube channel. By the way, we have, are you ready for this? I hope you're sitting down. Canada Heavy Haul is driving. He only has 20 more minutes to drive. So I know for a fact he's sitting down. But we have 605 subscribers. I now have 127 followers on the SHR Media Rumble channel. Let me go through this also. Now, this is interesting, and if you would let me know, StreamYard has told me that, dude, you've run out of storage, and I thought I have been diligent about delegating storage and making sure that I go back and I remove it if I have to. So apparently StreamYard is not cutting me off from being live. And I can see that I'm over here on Rumble. I'm live on Rumble, so I can see that. Please, if you would be so kind, because I know that a lot of people watch live, and it really won't make any difference for those of you who watch later on in podcast. But live tonight, right now, if something de-reses a portion of the show, StreamYard kicks my ass off the air, which is a rather lengthy and voluminous ass, I should care to point out, as people normally come up to me on the street and say, BZ, because that's my name, BZ, does your big ass actually make your ass look big? And the clear and obvious answer to that is yes, of course. Of course. I should care to remind you, however, that what you're about to hear for the next hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, not sure if I have enough content for that. Maybe yes, maybe no. Consists of my opinion and my opinion only. I don't have any guests tonight. I am fundamentally changing America one leftist diaper at a time. And I also should care to remind you that we don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks right here in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, clarity, context, tradition, and common sense for real people. That includes you and me and anybody else that happens to be watching and listening tonight. So politics and religion and crime, culture, race, sex, science, law, we talk about it all right here in the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not, as I've been wont to say numerous times. And this is true tonight too. I just want to let you, the information is going out there. Free beer tomorrow. So be here, okay? Because that's when the free beer appears. I'm also broadcasting on all of these little spots right now. If you look, I'm probably on speaker. I know I'm on YouTube, probably Rumble, later on in Apple Podcasts. On Facebook, I am unsure about Facebook. Facebook has been doing me dirty recently. On X, I'm on, I believe, 3 places on X, on Twitch, and tonight, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, courtesy of Licky Robinson, I may be live on KLRN right now. I heard rumors to that effect, Senator, We'll wait and see. I don't know. Oh, let me catch up with comments if I could, because I have I told you I was going to do this. Oh my God, this is going to be a fun show. And the reason it's going to be a fun show is because later on during the promo, which I think is going to be in the second break, if I'm not mistaken, I told you guys that I was going to do something for Sean Lewis for his promo for Edge of Liberty. And it shouldn't surprise you that I actually did something for Sean's promo. Well, I didn't do something singular. I did 5 some things, which I must be honest, I seldom laugh out loud because I don't find all that much stuff that's all that incredibly funny. That's just me. Okay. Give me a break if you would, please. But so what did I do when I thought that I was going, let's make fun of Sean. So the fat guy only knows a couple of things, and that's to go to Grok. So I went to Grok today and I got a bunch of, well, I said some things to Grok and I said, do this and this and this. And Grok sent me some shit back, and some of it is shit. Some of it is funny as hair. And some of it is just really stupid. So anyway, welcome to everybody. The Phantom is here. Canada Heavy Hall is here. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is here. Unleashed Jeremy Hansen is here. Mission Ready Men in the guise of Earl Big E Jackson is here. Whom have I left out? Oh, Shitterebus. I left out the Cosmic Bard, who holds, as Marvel Comics said, he wields in his hand the power cosmic. And the Cosmic Bard also indicates that all who wander are not lost. What about Potato Water? What about it? You got apparently a case of the what about it. So there's a mug. BZ's KC 135 Kettle One refueling team. I have this mug. Sorry, you don't. Well, it's because I don't know how to do merch and shit, to be honest. Head to BZ's Saloon for a great what? Mike is here. Welcome, Mike. And so that's everybody doing that. V overwork, or that's awesome. VO work. Well, I don't do voiceover work because I have, obviously, as everybody can see, I have a I have a face for radio, not a face for TV. And I have a voice for, I don't know, yelling in a whiny voice. You kids, get off my lawn. Everybody out of the swimming pool. Now, if you want to hear somebody that's got a real damn good voice, go watch Jeremy Hansen's podcasts. Now, his promo is later on in the show. And I just, when I play it, you're going to go there and go, that Jeremy Hansen, I swoon to that boy's voice. And it's true. You know, if Jeremy Hansen wakes up in bed wet, if he wakes up in bed wet, well, then that means his Depends didn't work. Damn it. Don't you say anything like that. Sally, I apologize to Jeremy, but if Jeremy wakes up in bed one night and like the horse scene in The Godfather, his covers are over his head, and as he pulls his covers down, he becomes more and more concerned until he gets to his voice box and it's been ripped out by me overnight. Now you'll know just what I'm talking about. Found the Twitch. Okay. Mike Pasqua, Phantom. And Unleashed Jeremy Hansen says, that's a funny bunch of crap right there, wouldn't you say? In the meantime, I decided that I was going to do some extra segment work, because usually at the beginning of the show, what I try to do is have something kind of semi-funny and or semi-amusing for you, and or semi-weird or just to kind of liven the show up a little bit. Oh, by the way, this came through. Merlin Queffel. He's on a 1-week suspension. I'll tell you why a little bit later. And also because of the Cracker Barrel controversy. I don't know who did this. I don't think it was Earl. It may have been Sean. It may have been Jersey Joe. But this is one of SHR's interpretations of us. And I find this amusing because I think I know who these are left to right. So on the far left, I think that's supposed to be me. One over with the colorful flag scarf, I think that's supposed to be Jersey Joe. And then one over from there wearing the red shirt is Sean. And then one over from there, right next to the American flag, is Big E Earl Jackson. And what do some of these people have in common? Well, the first three are white, right? But the other thing is, for whatever reason, whoever designed this said, let's make all the white guys fat because they actually are. And then there's Earl over to the right, who is actually not fat. So whoever created this thing actually did the proper thing. I mean, that's okay. I guess that's us in a nutshell right there. Here's what I call, just to kind of begin the show, the carousel of amusing GURP. And let's start here.
He doesn't use street names. He navigates by dumpster fires and tent cities. His favorite IPA has notes of pine, regret, and something called bike chain. He doesn't take LSD. He just stares at Mount Hood until it opens a portal. He once taught a yoga goat how to meditate. His flannel is made from repurposed protest signs. He brews kombucha so strong it voted twice in a local election.
At a federal election.
They say he fent folded, but really, he was just practicing advanced Oregon yoga. He legally married a bike trail, then divorced it when it got too mainstream.
Oh.
His spirit animal is a Subaru Outback with a Bernie sticker. He once survived 2 weeks in the Tillamook forest with only a hatchet and a TED Talk podcast. He's been off-grid so long, Bigfoot asks him for directions. His barista cried when he stopped ordering his half-foam oat milk cortado.
Oh, no.
He wrote a slam poem so powerful, it was declared a public utility.
And that's the most Oregon man in the world. Apparently, there are more of those. There are a series of those things. I don't know. Was that particularly funny? I'm not sure. I just thought it was different. Now, this, I think, could be amusing. I have to say, I enjoyed that. Interesting, but enjoyable. And then the third for this is, now, I told you that this is basically the carousel of amusing GURP. I try not to put reality in here too much, but I'm afraid I am going to have to instill some reality at this point. Somebody caught Gavin Newsom fighting and training for his bout with Donald Trump in the gym right there. And I haven't done this in a while. And this made me think, after I listened to Sean's show on Monday, Sean, the guy who I'm going to make fun of during the second break. I have to think about that. Sean mentioned this, and I thought, okay, God dang it. Apparently, it's very, very clear that I need to bring this back. So I am going to bring this back, and here it comes. let's go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the what?
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
You know, they kind of cleaned stuff up there for a little bit, but not any longer. So Sean guilted me into bringing this back. And so it is returned. It's HeyJackass.com, the Chicago death toll update from HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values. Chicago, you know, the city of big shoulders. August to date, shot and killed 28, shot and wounded 164, total shot 192, total homicides 31. That's just in August. Week in progress, August 24th to August 30th. Shot and killed 4, shot and wounded 12, total shot 16, total homicides 5. Year to date, shot and killed 233, shot and wounded 1,064, total shot 1,297, total homicides 280. So that translates to this. And I remember these figures for a while. So these figures have actually gone up. A person in Chicago is shot every 4 minutes and 23 seconds, and a person is murdered every 20 minutes and 23 seconds.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I'm trying a whole bunch of different things that are new tonight. And after that, I'm trying to get to the point where I'm sort of labeling all my segments. And as you might guess now, it's time for this.
Weapons Grade Stupid, the segment where anyone can play, but leftists are overqualified.
Okay, and here's the chick on CNN saying that, and this is done with as straight a face as I think she has, but it is in fact weapons grade stupid. There was no evidence whatsoever of political retribution under Obama or Biden.
That there was some top-down order of political retribution in either the Obama or the Biden administrations. I'll concede to you that Donald Trump
made up like the Russian hoax, and they used information to go after Donald Trump to try to undermine his entire presidency.
Okay.
And they all signed their names to it.
Are you going to give me a second to talk or no?
No, but
No.
it didn't happen.
Listen,
It happened.
The Russia hoax. First of all, was Donald Trump prosecuted?
They did it to impeach him. He was impeached.
Okay, so
That's a big deal. It's called overthrowing the will of the people.
First of all, he was impeached over his handling of Ukraine. He was not impeached over the Russia investigation.
For a stupid phone call.
By the way, became accurate on.
Okay, he was impeached for a phone call when we have video of Joe Biden in the midst of a summit saying, yeah, I called the Ukrainian prosecutor and I said, you're not getting any money until you drop the charges on my son. But that's not interference at all.
The second thing is, let me just read to you a list of people that Donald Trump and his top cabinet secretaries have said are going to be the subject of investigations. The special counsel, Jack Smith, former FBI director, James Comey.
Yep. Rotten.
Former CIA director, John Brennan.
Rotten.
Senator Adam Schiff.
Rotten to the core. All rotten.
Yeah.
AG Letitia James.
They lied.
President Barack Obama.
Yeah, they abused their power.
Governor Phil Murphy.
Abuse of power.
And Representative Monica McIver. So there is a list that comes right from the top. I'm not making this up.
They put themselves on the list because
it's called justice. It isn't called retribution, although I would certainly love it to be called that. Or revenge. It's not retribution. It's not revenge. It's doing the exact same thing to the people that did it in the first administration. And if they thought that was lawful, then obviously it should be lawful. No one is above the law. Isn't what all those people said for quite some time? Let's listen to this just for a moment, if I can add this to the stage.
Principles of law devolve into a battleground of legal warfare. It raises significant concerns for everyone involved. If you identify as a liberal and felt a sense of unease following the recent FBI raid on the residence of former National Security Advisor John Bolton.
Unease on the raid. The raid, I tell you, did they carry guns? Were they vested up? Did they have automatic weapons, just like they used at Mar-a-Lago against Trump, and decided that they were going to riffle through the underwear drawer of the wife of the President of the United States and invade the bedroom of the sons, or the son, I should say, singular, that is still living there? That's okay.
You are not alone in your apprehension. This incident could potentially lead to charges against Bolton, revealing a security violation that might have warranted prosecution under any administration.
So let's stop right there. What the leftists are saying now was the justification for going after Trump and all of his people, including you and me, earlier under 46. But see, that's fine. That's okay. There's no problem with that because it's all political. Speaking of politics, this is also weapons grade stupid. Well, Cracker Barrel decided that it was going to go along. There were 3 leftist white chick CEOs that ruined companies. One was Bud Light. The other is Cracker Barrel now. So this is, remember, if you've been to a Cracker Barrel, you've seen little pegboards that are in there that are amusing. I've seen them before. Do you find me amusing? And this is what it said on the old ones. And it said basically, oh no, terrible and judgmental. You know, if you can't get it to at least 1 T or 2 T's, if you leave 4 or more, you're not all that smart. Well, I happen to agree with that because there have been situations where that's occurred. But now, this is what's underneath them. This is what, well, this is the top because you can see the pegboard. Leave only 1. You're a genius. Leave 2. Rocking the chair, but not the game. Leave 3 or more. No reason to be embarrassed. Just try again. We can't poke fun at you. No, that's bad. By the way, look at this. Is that how you spell embarrassed? And the answer is no, it's not. So you can't even spell it properly. That is, in fact, as far as I'm concerned, weapons grade stupid. This is weapons grade stupid. You know, these things. I love doing this show. One of the reasons. Oh, let's catch up. Let's catch up on comments. She's the new Joy Reid. I agree. Retro justice. It is justice. You know, no one is above the law. Taking any calls? No, I'm not. I don't even have my phone in here to be able to do that. Cracker Barrel cracked. Well, yeah, they certainly did. This is amusing because a food critic, I think this requires focus. A snooty food critic. Well, that's bad. You don't want to see that. Let me add this back to the stage. From Baston has decided that they're going to review Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel, this food critic, Christine Parks, Cracker Barrel anti-woke critic slammed as unintelligent by Boston Globe food critic. Because I'm sure the Boston Globe food critic goes into tons of some of the finest restaurants in all of Baston. And I'm sure that they turn their nose up at Cracker Barrel. But oh no. Let's talk about this story when I come back, okay?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Mission log. Entry. I mean, let's face it, who's even counting anymore? The Lost Wonder is officially off course, chasing rogue rocket launches, fringe science, and things that probably violate causality. If it burns fuel, bends time, or makes scientists Very uncomfortable. Yeah, I'm probably going to talk about it every other Sunday on KLRN Radio, The Lost Wanderer, because space doesn't come with a roadmap. And honestly, I wouldn't follow if it did.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism, so common today, is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? You need to check out Mission Ready Men via Earl Big E Jackson on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and noon Eastern. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Welcome back to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here from the SHR Media Network in North Idaho. I am the aforementioned BZ. Thank you for watching live tonight on a ton of different places, and also with our good friends at KLRN. Thanks for watching later in the podcast, and thanks for being in the chat room. I got a ton of people in the chat room. Before we were so readily interrupted by people that I know and love, and I want to promo their shows, I was talking to you about this. And the story is that Cracker Barrel anti-woke critic slammed as unintelligent by a Boston Globe food critic. So I'm sure, as I posited before, that the Boston Globe food critic certainly goes to all those haughty H-A-U-G-H-T-Y folks, for those of you Democrats who are watching right now, that they would lower themselves to go to a Cracker Barrel. I have my own little Cracker Barrel story. And then I'd like you guys to weigh in chat. A Boston Globe food critic defended Cracker Barrel's controversial rebrand in a new piece, mocking detractors as having biscuits for brains. Well, Biggie Earl Jackson pointed out in chat, and rightly so, during the break, that Cracker Barrel, I guess you could say, relented or atoned, if you will. There was no damn atonement. All they did was go back to the original logo. So as you can see right here, there's the original logo, and the one that they went to, I don't think it's here right now. No, it's not here. But the new logo looked like crap, and then they were going to basically sanitize the entire interior of all the restaurants. And the CEO, Justine, whatever the fuck, because her name doesn't matter, said, "Oh, everyone loves these. The employees love these. The CEOs that and the people below me whom I tell to love it, they all love it, and the customers will love it because I say they'll love it, and they didn't love it." Well, they brought this back, but that doesn't change the fact that Cracker Barrel has been dipping its leftist toe in DEI and all that kind of bullshit all along. So Cracker Barrel never factored to me. I never really gave a shat about Cracker Barrel. The Cracker Barrel we had in this area opened up. There was a brand new one in this area opened up about 3 years ago. And for the first, say, 2 months or so, the parking lot was packed and you could hardly get in. Well, I went about a year ago, November, when I had Alan Thomas here. And Alan Thomas and Mrs. BZ and myself went into that Cracker Barrel and had some of the worst crappy food that we'd ever had. Part of it was cold, a lot of it was dry, and it was primarily overcooked. So that killed me on Cracker Barrel right there. So I don't really give a crap what happens to them. But I find it interesting that a lot of people who support this. Now, anybody, if you're in chat, tell me, have you ever had a good meal at Cracker Barrel? I had a crap meal in a restaurant where they really weren't interested in paying much attention to me. And that's okay. There's a lot of other restaurants that I can go to. But that was a crap meal and I'm not going back. And it's not just because Cracker Barrel and their CEO and all this leftist crap. You know, that's have some nice food, take care of the customers. You might see me back. But this thing with the Boston food critic saying that, oh, if you're criticizing Cracker Barrel, then you must have biscuits for brains. The only reason that guy doesn't give a shit about Cracker Barrel. The guy is an elite leftist working for Boston. He's working for Boston. So he hasn't probably stepped into a Cracker Barrel in his life. But that's the dealio about Cracker Barrel. If they go TU, and they very well might. Now they did go back and say, all right, well, you didn't like the new logo, so we'll go back to the old logo, which makes me wonder, okay, if you didn't like the old logo, Cracker Barrel, as you can see over on the right, this way over here, then there's a barrel and it's got crackers in it, and there's an old country dude resting on the Cracker Barrel. So if you remove the old country dude, which I'm sure is straight and white because he's a cracker, and you remove the barrel, then what do you have? You don't have a damn thing, which tells me, now I went to Big E Earl Jackson's show and I bigfooted his chat room this morning. You got to go. We'll talk about Big E's show. And as a matter of fact, we just did. God, PC, wake up. Where have you been, sir? All over the map. That's where I've been. Essentially, Big E said, well, he was discussing it, and I replied to Big E in the chat room. You know what I think is happening? They had to go back to the original, but I think the point of that was we're going to change the logo of Cracker Barrel. We're going to change the interior of these restaurants. Apparently, they're probably not doing as well as perhaps they could. Certainly the shitty cooking that I suffered through, if that's endemic of the rest of the Cracker Barrels, then, you know, they can blow me. The other thing that I was thinking, and I said to Earl, was this feels to me like a setup for a wholesale elimination of the Cracker Barrel name, the Cracker Barrel logo. They're going to redesign everything. They'll keep the franchises, they'll keep the properties and the leases, but they're going to create a new logo, or excuse me, they're going to create an entirely new restaurant behind that. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be coming in the not too terribly distant future. Because what choice do they have? They, in the first day following the new logo, their stock went down and tanked 14%. You know, if that's called a clue. The people want you to just stop screwing with shit. Now, let me see if I've got some comments from some of the people that went to, I'm an Arby's man, that and pizza. James says boycott. Yeah. You know what, James? That's easy for me to do. Don't like their food. Their food sucks. Who is the critic thinks he is? My ex? Can Can't remember if he ever went to a Cracker Barrel. Well, listen, you're in Florida. I bet there's a Cracker Barrel near you. And Mission Ready Men said, no, went once on many recommendations. Neither B, that's his wife, nor I enjoyed the food. The atmosphere was nice. The food, not so much. So maybe this was an attempt to rebrand, if they could or if they would. My guess is that it certainly wasn't very successful. Now, we had that article a little bit earlier where the chick says, lawfare, that's a terrible thing since you're using it on us or you're going after us. But you really didn't mean, leftists, did you? That no one is above the law. So with the same zeal and focus, the DOJ is going after people who need to have focus placed on them. And that would include Adam Schiff et al. Here's an interesting article. This is from Megan McArdle. This was August 23rd from, let's see, what is this? I think this is the Washington Post. Okay, stop. I need to tell you about this. I think it'll work in this fashion. I don't know if you can see it, but look at the top of the page, and it says Archive Today. Now, historically, when I try to bring you guys articles, I always want to go to the original source first, if I can. And sometimes those original sources are paywalled, as in, I'm not going to pay any fucking money to the New York Times. I'm not paying a damn thing to the Washington Post. I'm not paying a damn thing to the LA Times. You see where I'm going with this. Well, I found something that, and it worked for me. I hope it works for you. If you have a podcast or if you want to read articles, but you're not interested in paying anything for them, this is what I did. Go to the top of this page. Let me see if I can bring it up here. And it says Archive Today right up there. And so what you do, this is shown as a web page. I'll get into this story in just a moment, but I want to show you something interesting about how it is that I got there, because I don't want to pay for leftist bullshit. Who would? No one. And which is one of the reasons that they're hemorrhaging readers and they're hemorrhaging advertising, which is no shock. Go to archive.is, archive.is. And then you don't need to necessarily open it or anything like that. If it's something that's paywalled, all you need to do is copy the URL. Now, at the top of archive.is, it says insert URL here. So even a moron like me could do that. Copy, paste, right click. Okay, this is what I got. And now I'm bringing this article to you, and I didn't have to pay a thing for it. Now, how long this is going to last, I don't know. BZ is certainly not the most intelligent and sharpest kniff in the drawer. But if this fat fuck can figure it out, my guess is someone very near and dear to you can probably figure out the same thing. That said, I hope I just saved you a ton of money. So, wait. Trump isn't above the law, nor is he beneath it. Oh, I'm going to talk about Trump. Don't you think I'm not going to talk about Trump? New York Post is bad about that too. Funny thing is, am I thinking about the New York Post? I think I have an article up here from the Post. Well, I can't get to it immediately. In any event, Mission Ready Men, Big E Earl Jackson says, sometimes Archive Today doesn't work, so the Wayback Machine is another alternative. Wait a minute. The first one of the show. There we go. That's what I was trying to think of. Earl, thanks for reminding me of it. So you can go to archive.is and or you can go to the Wayback Machine. And if you forget the URL about the Wayback Machine, then all you have to do is in your favorite search engine, go clickety tick, click, click, and Wayback Machine, and it will bring you there. And then you can go and search using various points in the field in order to find what you're looking for. And a lot of this stuff that leftists and Democrats and the American media maggots don't want you to know about or pick up, which is what I do. My job is to bring all that stuff here to you and show you the actual stuff and play the actual videos. Because then I don't have to say, well, I'm just kidding, just joshing. What the hell? So again, thanks, Earl, for that. Opinion piece. Now, this is, again, Washington Post, I believe. Friday's Bolton raid and the rebuke of Trump's $500 million fine shows what happens when justice is not impartial. Now, I speak leftist, so please, I'll translate. Trump should have been slapped, and that slap should have been applied and never removed for $500 million because this bint hates Trump. Number two, the Friday Bolton raid has its precepts in actual potential crimes. But, unless you investigate, let's see, Megan McArdle, unless you investigate and serve subpoenas and serve search warrants, then the day will come, or not, depending upon the focus of your investigation, as to whether or not you lay an arrest warrant on somebody, because that's what the feds do. They all work by warrant. There is no such real concept as a fresh arrest in the land of feddom, either in the FBI or the U.S. Marshals. They all work on warrants because all that stuff has to go through the AUSA, which is the assistant U.S. attorney in whatever district you happen to be working. If you're a liberal, alarmed by the Friday raid on the home of former National Security Advisor John Bolton, the asshole who never issued, Gesundheit, a war that he didn't love. He loved all wars. He loved the war with Iraq. He has been known to say, you know what? We should have gone into North Korea and nuked North Korea. Just, being on the border of China, that wouldn't have caused any kind of kerfuffle in the World Series of stuff. No, nothing like that. Bomb, Iran. While you're at it, nuke, and Bolton said, drop a nuke on North Korea, on the crazy little dude up there. Yeah, he launched rockets, et cetera, but Bolton was right to it. North Korea should be nuked. Okay, I guess, no problem. Well, if you're a liberal alarmed by the Friday raid, and you're not alarmed, well, you should be. It's possible. Oh, how sad. Here's my little bow and my little violin, and I'll play it. Such a sad story. It's possible if charges come out, we'll learn that Bolton committed a security breach that would have been prosecuted under any president. But there are reasons to suspect otherwise, given that President Donald Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, and FBI Director Kash Patel have endorsed lawfare against their political enemies, including Bolton. Now, the lawfare was committed by the Otto-Penn Biden regime under 46, that regime not under 47. So here's the deal, said it a ton of times, we'll continue to say it. Once you open that door, leftists and Democrats, don't be surprised when other people walk in behind you once that door, at one time locked, is now open. And that threshold is going to be crossed. And that's what's occurring here today, because what we have determined, and all the leftists and Democrats have said time after time, no one is above the law. Okay, message received, no one is above the law. I 100%. And isn't it funny that it all depends on whose ox is bored? Canada Heavy Haul. Okay, I'm back. What did I miss? I told you that what happened. Canada Heavy Haul. Let's make this between you and me. And I'm talking to you in Canada right now. You're probably just pulling into a parking lot. What happened is that back in 2017, 2018, Bolton told anyone who would listen that he just personally carried a nuke across the border and dropped a nuclear weapon and killed everyone in North Korea. Other than that, you didn't miss a thing. Not one thing at all whatsoever. Let's see, what do I have coming up here? Oh yeah, this will be wild. This will be interesting. This is, God, I need a producer, and I'm going to bring this up because this is an incredible story. This is a fuck around and find out story.
It's time for Fuck Around and Find Out, the segment where people and groups make amazing personal discoveries called consequences, courtesy of BZ's Saloon.
This is the story tonight for FAFO. And if there ever were a FAFO story, it's this. Abrego Garcia, the MS-13 piece of shit, is leaving. And he said 2 words during his ICE arrest where he's being processed for removal from the U.S. to Uganda. Now, this is interesting, and I love this aspect. Schadenfreude. My heart is overwhelmed with Schadenfreude, and I listen for the lamentations of his women, because that's some funny shit right there. But essentially what he said, Kilmore Abrego Garcia can be heard saying the words gobierno corrupto, which is Spanish for corrupt government. That's the pot calling the kettle black. Since he's an MS-13 gangbanger with MS-13 tattooed on his hand and neck. So he's clearly a gangbanger. He's a wife beater. He's a domestic violator. He's a drug mule, and he's a human trafficker. Other than that, he's just a standard Mark I, Model I, loving father and Maryland dad, because that's what they said that he was. So as far as I'm concerned, this dude did, in fact, he fucked around and found out for himself. Now we're going to continue with other things, life, which is already in progress. And this is where
this nation should commit itself.
I'm going to talk to you about an issue that I discovered earlier this week. And the segment is just essentially, basically news. And we're going to talk about news articles that I think are important. And then we'll go to another segment after this. But I took umbrage with some of these articles. And this is the point in the show where I get to tell you about it. Because
I will build a great, great wall.
Stand by for news.
And this is where we stand by for news. Now, the thrust of the show tonight was about the FBI. And you have a general feeling and understanding of my thoughts about the FBI. The FBI is essentially the weaponized arm of the DNC and Leftists. It is an anti-American, corrupt, leftist organization. And it's been so for quite some time. Now, if we think that the leftists and the deep staters have been removed from the FBI, that is absolutely wrong and false. Now, some of the individuals from the 7th floor have been replaced, but that does not mean that there is a huge, strong running undercurrent of people who are doing their very level best to make sure that they continue to undermine justice in the DOJ, because they are biased. They are agendized. They moved to the left. Now, in law enforcement, you're not supposed to be that. You're supposed to let the investigation go where it runs and decide that you're going to investigate things that require investigation for the betterment of the United States and to bring crime down. But then when I heard this one moment, when I saw this story report, FBI undercounted armed civilians stopping mass shooters. Now, as I've said any number of times, I speak leftist, so let me translate. What that was is a clear, to me, indicator that the FBI didn't want to let the meme or the thought get out that if Americans are armed, they can protect themselves, which is inherently good under the Second Amendment. But it's also good because shooters, active shooter incidents, are conducted by those mental nutcases who are armed and can only be stopped by people with a firearm. But wait, it's not just cops who do that. Let's read the story, and then you'll begin to immediately understand why this is horribly agendized. So, the FBI has significantly underreported how often armed civilians intervene to stop mass shootings, according to a new study by the Crime Prevention Research Center, the CPRC. Now, they're going off their own stats. They're also going off the FBI stats. Now, the report released Friday found civilians with firearms. Again, hope you're sitting down for this because you are not hearing this from the American media maggots. You are not hearing this blasted from the top of the halls so that everybody can know, hear, and understand what's going on. The report released Friday found civilians with firearms prevented at least 36% of active shooter incidents between 2014 and 2024. Well, wait a minute. Why is that significant? Because the FBI's official figure was 3.7%. Now, does the FBI dig for those stats? No, they go by what is sent to them. And or some of those stats may or may not be recognized by all the people that collate that information. The discrepancy was particularly stark in 2024, when the CPRC found that armed civilians stopped, again, God, I hope you're sitting down, and God, I hope you're armed, and God, I hope you carry, and I hope you're in a state that allows you to do that. I can do that. I can open carry where I am in Idaho. I don't need a concealed weapon permit. This is a stand your ground state, and this is a castle doctrine state. And yet, the funny thing is, you don't see or hear of bodies being just strewn all about the floors in homes and businesses in Idaho. Yeah, we had that fuck nozzle that came and killed 4 kids in Moscow, Idaho. But that shit nozzle happened to live in Washington next door, which is a massive leftist state. Just thought I'd point that out. But also worth pointing out, and the reason I was going there is, as I was saying, the discrepancy was stark in 2024 when the CPRC found out that armed civilians stopped nearly half, 47.8% of active shooters, while the FBI recorded 0 such cases. Now stop, let's process this. What do I got? I got 2 more minutes before the top of the hour break. Oh, wait, hang on. That's break 2. That means that I think Sean's promo is going to be coming up. Nice. So the FBI recorded 0 cases of that, of armed civilians stopping mass shooting cases or active shooter cases, when the truth is 47.8% of active shooter cases were stopped by armed citizens. So what that leads you to, what any thinking, logical individual can only conclude, is that the FBI is recklessly inept and incompetent, or the information didn't get sent to them. But that's a mandate on all, by the way, all law enforcement agencies. Now, we know that Baltimore and we know that DC purposely fucks with their stats. and probably leftist cities, but not everyone does. So then you can only conclude that the FBI is incompetent and or they're biased and agendized, and they're not going to publish that information, because then that would lead, again, logical, clear-thinking people to say something similar to, well, wait, this government, leftists and Democrats, governments preceding this one, 46 and prior, want to make sure that we are disarmed. No guns for you, mister. That worked really well in 1996. We'd love to do that here. And then the other point of that is, okay, so the half of the active shooters that were stopped and halted by citizens with guns, add the dead bodies following that. And the dead bodies are going to start to pile up. They can't not pile up. You see where I'm going with this? I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. It just stinks. You're not getting the proper information, and the reason for that is clear.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
In a world where leftists are running out of metal for the safety pins of their soothing red diapers, one man stands alone, attempting to fundamentally change America, one leftist diaper at a time. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, is guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat leftists and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Listen to BZ Saloon on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Central, and 11 p.m. Eastern on the SHR Media YouTube channel, Twitch, KLRN, Rumble, and X at BZ Saloon. It's one great late-night conservatarian talk radio show. Be there. Aloha.
Hello, friends. We have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy. No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name is Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
It's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Just like the Bidens, I too am moving. Only in my case, it's days and times. That's right, you can now find the Edge of Liberty Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on 11 Eastern on the SHR Media Network. Join me as we talk politics, news, alcohol, fun, not so much fun, clowns, small kittens, large kittens, dogs, amoebas, and anything else.
Okay, let me stop right here. This is when I come back to the media and I said, I told you that I'd be talking about this, because last week, as I was listening to this promo, I said, I bet I could do an interesting promo about that. And I said earlier at the beginning of the show, hey, I'll get Grok to help me out on this. So this is what, now, if you remember, what did Sean talk about? He says he speaks and addresses politics and news and alcohol and clowns and small kittens and large kittens and dogs and amoebas. And this is what Grok had to think about that and had to say, look, well, looks like that Sean, looks like there are kittens and dogs. I see the alcohol covered. I see the clowns. All right, but wait, Grok gave me more. Grok gave me a kitten growing out of Sean's head, a dog, newspapers, a small, teeny, weeny little bottle of alcohol to the lower left, and this is what I find to be the amusing part. Do I amuse you? Is the lower right in between the mixer and the keyboard, which looks like a turd, but is actually Grok's interpretation of an amoeba. Not kidding. And then it went further. Then it said, well, okay, do you want me to go further with this? And of course I said yes. So there's Sean as a clown, with clowns, with alcohol. There is no kitten growing out of his forehead, but somebody lifted the headphones off of the sides of his face. The kitten, the white kitten, is interfering with him. There is a cat growing out of his chest. And this is now renamed the Edge of Liberty. The Edge of Liberty. And then Grok said, hey, do you want to go a little bit further? And I said, of course. What do you think I said? I said, of course, why not? So this is what Grok thought about the Edge of Liberty. Now, what the hell? It's like, okay, there's a cat growing out of his head and a whole bunch of other cats. And to be fair, I shouldn't laugh at this. I really shouldn't laugh at this, but I found that amusing. And so, Sean, I'm really sorry. I apologize. Let's go on with your promo.
So it just pops into my mind while I'm on the air. That is Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 on the East Coast, on YouTube, X, KLRN Radio, Facebook, Twitch, and anywhere else a good podcast is found. Please check out our website, shrmedia.com. I will see you live on the air.
Attention, all patriotic women of faith. Yep, I'm talking to you, sis. Are you looking for high quality, super soft apparel that reflects your love for country and your devotion to God? Look no further than Carry Girl Gear. Picture this. You rocking a tee so soft it's like being hugged by a cloud, all while showing off your love for God.
Okay, I hate to stop this again, but I am going to stop this again because I have to ask you guys now. Which is, some people are saying in chat, maybe you should use one of them. And the reason I'm getting away with this is because I know for a fact Sean is not in chat. I have not seen him in chat. I haven't seen him comment. So, the only way that this shit is funny is when it's done behind his back. So if I play it, say Thursday night, also on Thursday night, he may be gone already. I'm going to be talking to Big E, Earl Jackson, the host of Mission Ready Men, on Thursday. It may just be about an hour show because I know that Earl has to wrap things up. He's actually still a working man, where I am a retired large Zeppulus looking individual. I'm working on some more promos on that too as well. So Earl is going to be here Thursday night, just important safety tips and promotional considerations for you if you want to come back on Thursday night. And I really wish you would. So I don't know, for the next time on Thursday that I happen to play one of these, is there any one of these that I should substitute for the actual, semi-serious Edge of Liberty show? Just asking. Let me know in the comments. Let's continue. Sorry to interrupt.
In country. Sounds dreamy, right? Well, welcome to reality, babes, because that's what we're all about here at Carry Girl Gear. We specialize in super soft tees, tanks, and more, designed specifically for the strong, patriotic woman who proudly wants to carry their message of faith and freedom. When you shop with us, you're not just getting a t-shirt. You're joining a community of like-minded women who are proud to wear their beliefs straight on their tees. So whether you're sipping sweet tea on the porch or leading the charge for faith and freedom, do it in a Carry Girl tee. Because life's too short for stiff, boring tees. CarryGirl.com, where faith and freedom meets fashion.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being, and in the good that comes from exercising these rights well. The founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
That was the end of the first hour. We're now into the second hour, hour number dos, eins, zwei, deux in French. That's about the only French that I know, to be quite honest. Thanks to everybody for being here. We got to 600 subscribers. We're now at 605. We're shooting for 650. And if you can help us with that, the people that are listening right now and in podcast, now I've shipped, I know. I actually have business cards, and every once in a while, I ship a business card to somebody that comes across me and says, well, what do you do? What do you know? I'm a podcaster. What kind of a podcast do you have? I'm really, really conservative. Really? I'm fairly conservative. How conservative are you? Because I happen to be to the right of Vlad Tepes, just so I tell you. And for those Democrats and leftists amongst you, Vlad Tepes was known as Vlad the Impaler. Important information from me to you. I was talking earlier before the break about this story, and this is kind of the gist of the show tonight. What FBI lies? Because the FBI doesn't lie. And I was discussing this story, which FBI undercounted armed civilians stopping mass shooters. And I said, I'm wondering, because a logical person, a logical thinking individual, such as myself or the people that watch the show and listen, are asking, okay, so is the FBI incompetent? Or do they not care? Or are they that biased and agendized? Or are the stats just terribly skewed? And I'm not going with the skewed stat stuff, and I'm going to be pointing to this here. And as I said before the break, the discrepancy was particularly stark in 2024 when the CPRC, the people doing this study, found that armed civilians stopped nearly half, 47.8% of active shooters in 2024, while the FBI recorded 0 such cases. And the FBI, this is their explanazione for this. That's explanation in Italian. The FBI has previously acknowledged that its reports are not intended to capture every active shooter case, but to provide a baseline understanding. Okay, but if you're providing us a baseline understanding, it's that baseline understanding which will be used as cudgels and sledgehammers against conservatives and folks such as myself who adore the Second Amendment. But you still don't get that, which is why I say about the FBI, it's nothing more than, and it still continues as the deep state weaponizes the organization for the DNC and leftists. And it continues in many large ways to be an anti-American, corrupt, terrorist organization. Look up the definition of terror. Do just a way bit of investigation for yourself. Because the dealio is the omissions, the things that are not included in the FBI reports tend to distort public perception and are used by leftists against the people who love their Bill of Rights. And they feed narratives that minimize the role of civilian gun owners in stopping violence. And it continues the blather of, you don't need a gun. You don't need to defend yourself. Just sup at the nipple of government. Will take care of you in perpetuity. And that's false. That's absolutely false. Now, in terms of another story, this is one that pisses me off to no end. And another reason why I say, and I've said any number of times, I like Trump. I voted for him twice. I voted for him 3 times. I voted him for the first time in 2020 and 2024. So he became 45 and 46. But I don't accept this, and I don't like this. And for those of you, oh, well, you're sucking the cock of Donald Trump. Really? Sure, I'd have him over for dinner, but he's not God, and the only person that would make the greatest president on the planet would be me, and I'm not running because only I have the best ideas around. As I suspect each of you are saying, well, I've got the best ideas around. Well, here's Trump saying to me something ridiculously stupid. And Trump goes stupid from time to time, So I'm not all in on Trump 24/7, 365, and I call things out when I see them. This is from the Washington Examiner. Trump says the U.S. will accept 600,000 Chinese students as part of a trade deal. Well, you want to make a trade deal, go ahead and do it with China. But any deal that you're making with China means that you're making a deal with communist China. And any and every student who comes over into the United States is a separate infiltrator and working for the Chinese Communist Party. Each one of these students is here to infiltrate and inculcate themselves and steal as much things as much information and proprietary hardware, software, ideas as humanly possible. Each student is a representative of the Chinese Communist Party. Each student who comes here from China also removes a seat for an actual American here. China is our enemy. I will always continue to say China is our enemy. This is a ridiculously damn stupid idea, Donald Trump. It's ridiculous on its face. And also considering, now I listen, as a matter of fact, to Gordon Chang. Gordon Chang is one of the smartest dudes that I know in terms of having insight and information about China. He's been saying for decades, China is our enemy, parenthesis, don't do this, end of parenthesis. Don't do this. Here's another article by Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, Fiddling While Rome Burns. America ignores China's rising red tide. Beijing adds naval power and missiles as U.S. forces remain overstretched across multiple theaters. We've been shipping weapons and arms to Ukraine, and that's been deleterious to our stockpiles as well for quite some time. And the weapons manufacturers only produce weapons when they're paid, and arms and ammunition. And a great deal of that has gone to Ukraine. And for what? Let me also put this up. 10 ways. This is a PDF. And again, I remind everybody, I'm going to gloss through, just being through the highlights of this so that you can understand these things. When I post the show later on Rumble, if you go to the BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon on Rumble, enter that in the field and you'll see the channel. And then click on this show. You can listen to it again if you want. But also in each and every show that I do, specifically through Rumble, I put down the show links of all the articles and frequently the graphics that I present here. And you can go and see this in PDF. If you don't feel like, going through the entire article right here, because I'm certainly not going to take the time to do that. So here are the highlights. This is from AEI. 10 ways the United States is falling behind China in national security. And unveiling the true size of China's 2022 military budget. And you can see this graphic there. Total military investment. China is expanding. They have us in hypersonic missiles. They have us in naval fleet size and strength. That's why Trump was speaking the other day of we need to get back into shipbuilding. And that's very, very true. Integrated air defense systems. We need to have a better air defense system. We need to improve upon our manufacturing and technological industrial base. Minerals and rare earths. We can't mine here. This is the United States. Someone might get hurt. Well, I guess that means that you're going to be buying all this shit from everyone else, including China. And if one day, like China decides to hold PPE against us, and medical necessities, and antibiotics, and all of the various medications that we require because we don't make them here, anything that they can do to PPE, they can do to minerals and rare earths, because we have them here, but frequently we're not allowed to mine them. Gray zone operations short of armed conflict. We have ships made generally for blue water. Our littoral ships were crap. And sadly, a number of them were scrapped already. We paid billions and billions of dollars for these ships that were to sail through the littorals. The littorals are shallow water. We wanted to have a shallow water navy and a blue water navy, which is a deep water navy. The space domain, we're starting to get our asses kicked. Cyber operations, China is way ahead of us. Artificial intelligence. You know who wins the artificial intelligence race? Those persons who are going to build the shit out of electrical generation stations, and also should include nuclear and also thorium. We're falling way behind on that just to power AI. But whoever wins the electrical race is going to win in terms of AI. Now, we spoke about, and there was a fairly significant kerfuffle. Let me stop here for just a moment and catch up with some of the, here, mission ready men, got to run, got a great night. And everybody says goodbye to mission ready men. Yeah, not digging on 600,000 more Chi-Com spies in our states. Oh my God, no. And we don't need to be in the slap fight between rival Eastern Bloc gangs. So these are not good things. These are what I would typify as bad things. And then there was the kerfuffle behind flags. I tend to be a freedom of speech absolutionist. I believe in the absolutism of freedom of speech. I can understand why people are pissed that Trump has said recently that, you need to spend some time pondering if you burn a flag under certain specific conditions, not just to burn a flag. Now, as, excuse me, I think Sean pointed this out on his Monday show. And I said in the chat, flags, old flags, when they're to be removed, because if they happen to get tattered or there are problems with them, the proper and lawful way to dispose of a flag is to burn it. So the difference between burning a flag when it's destroyed and tattered and the difference between burning a flag in terms of politics is intent. And so Trump is, this will go up sooner or later. This will go up to SCOTUS. My guess is it will probably not be upheld. But there are any number of things to consider when we talk about this. Now, in this particular post from Chris Rufo, he said, but as long as this is the status quo, I'm not going to work myself into a state of hysteria about Trump's executive order on burning the American flag. Well, what the hell does he mean? He means this. Somebody got 15 years in an Iowa jail for burning a pride flag. Not kidding. That was way back in 2019. Or this. Teens get 10 years in jail after making skid marks on LGBT Rainbow Road mural while riding e-scooters. As in, are you serious? What the fuck? So, okay, we're going to throw people in jail for this silly ass shit, but we're not going to throw people in jail for defacing or burning the flag. Now, I get it. I grok that concept because here's the person we all love right here saying this.
So I hope, Mr. President, that we can pass a law that criminalizes flag burning and desecration. I agree that this burning, this desecration that can happen to our flag is something that people have a right to ask this body to try to prohibit and prevent.
That's Hillary Clinton saying that back then, as a 55-year-old, hey, penalties for flag burning, those would be good, except now things have changed, and the people that are predominantly burning our American flag are leftists. So now she's okay with that. I want to point something else up to you. Now, for me, this is just me, and I'm going to be addressing this in greater detail, I believe, Thursday night. If I get to it, maybe some of it here. But now, you tell me if you think this is too extreme. This is a Texas Republican congressional candidate by the name of Valentina Gomez, and she has this to say, and these actions with regard to the Quran. Now, if there's a penalty for burning a flag, then should there be a penalty for this as well? BZ, as per normal, what the hell are you saying? Watch.
Your daughters will be raped and your sons beheaded unless we stop Islam once and for all. We're done turning the other cheek. Remember, David didn't pray for Goliath. He killed them. America is a Christian nation, so those terrorist Muslims can fuck off to any of the 57 Muslim nations. There is only one true God, and that is the God of Israel. Okay, my brother.
Okay, so the question is, how many years should she have to do for this? This is her evocation of free speech. This is what she interprets as free speech. Well, free speech, you shouldn't be able to burn the flag. Free speech, should you be able to burn the Quran? Oh, BZ, those are two completely separate. No, they aren't. There are your administration of free speech. Should you be able to? This is not as simple as some people seem to think. I tend to go back to, I am an absolutist with regard to this. Now, this is an interior struggle that you will all have to grapple with at one point or another. Am I with this chick? I got to tell you, I am, if you haven't sussed it out already, I am not a big fan of Islam. So if I decide to do this and record it myself, how many years in the pokey or the pen, local or federal, depending upon the law that proscribes this, should I do? If I do that, should I be in prison for 2 years? Should I be in a county jail for 6 months? Should I be in a federal lockup for 10 years? These are all questions that need to be addressed. So when you think that, sometimes this stuff is really, really easy, it's not necessarily so easy. And it all is dependent upon whose ox is getting gored. I understand the concept of the penalty for burning a flag. That all gets down to, as I said before, intent. The proper disposal of the American flag versus some leftist piece of crap immolating the American flag before your eyes. And then we discussed, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, this morning on Earl's show, Mission Ready Men, we both addressed something similar to, okay, well, sometimes there are city or county rules about burning an object. There are city and county codes. Say you burn something that you shouldn't in a park. Is that to say that you cannot be arrested for burning a flag, which is an object in a park in which burning is proscribed and it's illegal? Well, sure, that should be applicable. But see, BZ, you're vacillating. I don't believe that I'm vacillating. I understand your point. In a way, I support people who say flag burners, because of the intent, should be arrested. But then you have to make that same, you have to lay that long strip of asphalt everywhere that you decide that you want to apply that. And the question would be, or should be, if we apply it over here, what's to keep people from applying it over there? Should that chick, that candidate, go to prison? for doing that. There are going to be an ass ton of people who are saying, oh, yes, most deaf. Burning the Quran, that is on its face terrible and wrong. Let's also go here. Did you know, as podcasters or content creators, oh, shoot, pull it off. I'm telling you, pull it off right now, BZ. Well, why am I going to do that? Because we only have a half hour left. And this time, BZ has to go to the electric winkle chamber.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Listen in to the Reaver of Common Sense, where we cut through the noise of news and politics with a show equipped for bombast. Tune in Mondays and Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and 6 p.m. Pacific, featuring a refreshing dose of reality. Jersey Joe fearlessly tackles the tough topics with no nonsense. Just pure common sense. Visit shrmedia.com, where you can hear the Reaver of Common Sense in action. He may not always be polite. He may not always be refined. But one thing's for sure. He always tells it like it is.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out 7 Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with 7 Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It's the last half hour. I'm BZ. Thanks to everyone for being here tonight. You're in the saloon, where the speech is free, but the booze is not. It's the final half hour, so Shriners, drink up while you can. You can hear the show tonight on KLRN. You can hear it on the SHR Media YouTube channel. We have 605 subscribers right now. That is a great and wonderful thing. I absolutely love that, but sadly, it's this time too.
Folks, this is BZ's final hour. Step up. Last call for alcohol.
I also want to remind everyone of this as well. I mean, this is who I am, essentially, okay?
Behold the ancient, obese, conservative Sherpa in his natural element, a wondrous cornucopia of vibrant foliage festooned upon his face, various tiaras adorning that scabby pate, creating a veritable carnival of conservative cogitations and, some might posit, an overload of bulbosity, unrestrained. Please, citizens, avail yourselves of his liquid offerings as the saloon continues, unabated, like bad Bolivian gas station sushi.
And we will continue with this story as well. Were you aware that if you're a content creator or a podcaster like myself, apparently we discovered that YouTube secretly uses AI to improve videos with regard to their appearance, how they look. So they use AI, whether you want it or not, to improve some videos, and you're not asked. Now, on its face, perhaps you're thinking, well, With BZ's looks, who wouldn't want to improve his appearance? But the big question to be asked beyond this is, okay, another BZ if-then equation. If this is what they're doing already, then does that give license to YouTube to clean up by way of AI your content? If you produce videos that, well, in terms of, we're not just going to give you a strike. No, what we'll do is we'll change by way of AI what it is that you're saying. And then the message is entirely changed. And probably there's some kind of language in there because no one reads the EULA. Do you? EULA? I don't. But there's probably some nibbling little piece of crap in there that says, well, if your content is on our platform, you are giving us license to do whatever the fuck we want to do with that whenever we want to do it. So that to me is extremely concerning. Also, no one heard about this. No one's crying for this. No one has said, well, wait a minute, how did this happen? Ukrainian refugee, 23, who decided that she fled the war for a safer life in the United States, is knifed to death by a career criminal in North Carolina. So she wanted to be safe here in U.S., but she was knifed by a homeless career criminal at a North Carolina train station last week. She suffered multiple stab wounds. Irina Zarutska, say her name, was pronounced dead at the East-West Boulevard light rail station at South End just before 10 p.m. last Friday. She recently arrived in the United States. She was hoping for a new beginning. She had a GoFundMe page set up for the woman's aunt and other family members during this time. Her life was cut off far too short. So here's the piece of shit that killed her. DeCarlos Brown, identified as the suspect, transported to a local hospital with non-threatening injuries. He has been arrested and charged with first-degree murder. He's been arrested a ton of times since 2011 for felony larceny, robbery with a dangerous weapon, communicating threats, according to court records obtained by the Post, and on and on and on. This is not what she came here for, but of course, it's a black guy. It's a homeless black guy who is infinitely more important than she is. Oh, she's just a pretty little white chick, and she should have known what she was getting into. Completely covered up like cat crap in a cat box or in your kid's playground or something like that. I also warned him this. And it's here. Oh, BZ, that's such a racist thing to say. Oh, oh my God. I do have some tales from the racist industrial complex. I hope I get to them. We've got 20 more minutes before the end of the show. Maybe I can get there. Maybe I can't. That might be the very last thing that I address. Here comes the fire sale. Now, I told you about China. Trump is absolutely 1000% wrong on China. We do not need 600,000 new Chink students doing the work of the Communist Party of China. We don't need them here. And I refer to them as that because they are working specifically and directly for the Communist Party. They are not Americans. They do not have our best interests at heart. They're going to undermine this country. That's over 500,000 new students undermining this nation, working for the CCP and removing seats that your child, your student perhaps should have had in whatever university they were going to go. Here comes the fire sale. Oh, look, a Chinese-based company is buying up land incinerated by the firestorms in the Palisades fire. So if foreign companies want to buy up burned out properties, can those sales be stopped? And the question is, should they be stopped? They should. Yes, they should definitely be stopped. So the firestorms, if you remember, I think it was right around January or February, hit Pacific Palisades, Malibu, Altadena. January is when it was. And the mayor was gone. The vice mayor was gone. There was no water in the reservoir ad nauseum. Okay. And so the people that are there decided, as Rahm Emanuel said, never let a good crisis go to waste. And so this is a wonderful way to ensure, when you don't give building permits out as you promised the president of the United States, LA Mayor Karen Bass, that you were going to do. And then it shouldn't surprise you that corporations like BlackRock or Vanguard swoop in, which invites Chinese companies to come in and do the same thing. Foreign investors were buying up prime lots in the burned down area of Malibu Beach. That investor has been, quote, secretly scooping up many of the burned lots on the oceanfront side of the Pacific Coast Highway with the vision of rebuilding the mansions that dotted the coastline in the iconic beach town. This once was a beach, and once it's built back and it's all brand new construction, I think it's going to be a very desirable spot for a lot of wealthy people to drive to try to buy a beach house. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. But then if that's true, then you'll be another BZ if then equation. If that's true, then you'll be paying money to China if you allow China to buy these properties. If you allow China to buy farmland all across the United States next to military installations. If you allow China to overfly a balloon from Alaska all the way down to the contiguous 48 states. So it monitors and takes information and sends that information to communist China, because who wouldn't want a nice languid balloon ride over a military installation? It makes the photographs and the intelligence take from that so much clearer. And who doesn't want clear spy photos? Well, the Chinese do, of course. And the drones, which I hope to get into in the not too terribly distant future. The other thing that you didn't hear that I'm finding since then, all the things about the drones in November and December of last year, New Jersey, around the military installations and whatnot, people are saying that those drones were launched en masse from a Chinese freighter off the eastern seaboard, and they were sent as a recon to see what will we do and how will we react, just as the Chinese weather balloon, which was a spy balloon, a huge, massive spy balloon. Well, how far will we as the U.S. allow China to float a balloon languidly over the United States or to ship drones over military facilities? That's just poking the bear. But they don't care, because we don't know how to respond. And we are allowing China to buy up all of these things. Farmland, private labs near Fresno, where Chinese, were experimenting with weaponizing viruses and bacteria. Don't remember that. I'm sure you don't. But that's true. How far do we extend this to China? Because we're essentially we're saying to the Chinese, and they know it, we're saying to them, come on, we're stupid and moronic, and, take advantage of us, because they certainly will. Also, were you debanked? Who wanted you debanked?
Following President Trump's executive order outlawing debanking, Following President Trump's executive order outlawing debanking, major bank executives are now speaking out, saying they were pressured to deny services for political reasons, specifically under the Obama and Biden administrations.
Because you're talking about a dictatorship. But, Trump is such a dictator. He's a king. Well, just like Canada did, Canada debanked truck drivers And Biden and Obama told banks who were afraid to not comply because they didn't know how onerous the rules and regulations under which they must operate will be slapped up their asses. So again, as we suspected all along, this is what occurred. This is what truly happened.
The National News Desk, Jeff Harris joining us. The executives claim, Jeff, that conservatives were the main target with this debanking. Tell us more about this.
Oh, that's right. It wasn't, circle gets the square. It wasn't anything George Soros related. It wasn't anything Democrat related. It wasn't anything globalist related. It wasn't anything remotely leftist in nature. Just conservatives, just Republicans, just you, just me. Hey, did anyone get told by a bank, you there with that red MAGA hat, what do you want this loan for? What do you want to use this credit card for? Well, I'm thinking of exercising my constitutional rights under the Second Amendment. No, debanked, gone. We don't have to provide an excuse. And in many situations, no reason whatsoever was provided. We knew this is true.
So 2 executives at leading U.S. banks are now speaking out, both anonymously, saying under previous administrations, they were under pressure to deny services to certain people and certain businesses, specifically because of politics.
Of course, it's only about politics. We knew it. We suspected it. Then after the fact, when it doesn't have that much to do in terms of what was happening at that point, after the fact, oh, yeah, we might be able to talk about it now. And unpleasant blind guy who, yeah, he's blind, but he's sort of unpleasant. I'm proud of Trump for nixing debanking. Absolutely. 100%. And then I told you these are news stories. Here's another news story. And the sort of the theme for tonight is the FBI. What kind of lies? What kind of lies are being told by the FBI? This is from the New York Post. FBI believes Bolton should face charges over the alleged email classified docs to family and questions why Biden shelved the case. Under whose regime did Biden shelve the case? That would be under the FBI and the DOJ, under 46. Well, who was in charge at that time? Well, it was James Comey. And later on, it was under Wray. So former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton, who never met a war and a nuking that he didn't love, should face criminal charges over his alleged emailing of highly sensitive classified materials through a private server. See? Again, a private server. That's okay for certain personnel to do if they're under a certain specific regime, like Obama or the auto pen Biden regime. It's okay. No problem. Es bueno. Just nothing to see here. Move on. And then they call that when those things are done under 47, remember, no one is above the law. Then, oh, tizzy fit. We can't have that happening. Federal agents raided Bolton's Maryland home and D.C. office Friday morning in search of evidence in their case investigating the Trump's critics' alleged theft of highly sensitive national security documents. Now, stop about that just a moment. Now, Trump was taken to task. The president of the United States has the ability, the innate intelligence ability to declassify documents if they wish. Biden was in receipt and held classified documents that he acquired when he was a senator. Now, a senator cannot declassify documents. A president can. A lot of the documents that he kept were from his days as a senator. But it was Trump who was gone after. It was the raid on his house at Mar-a-Lago with regard to the sensitive intelligence documents that he can declassify. Can John Bolton declassify sensitive intelligence documents, which were probably being used for the book that he was writing at the time? The answer is no. And the other videos that I played earlier in the first hour about, everyone is outraged. They're outraged that Bolton had his home and his office raided by the FBI. No one is above the law. How many times were we told? No one is above the law. And by the way, for those of you who tuned in,
we seem to have breaking news. Apparently, the FBI has found the USB thumb drive they were looking for. Mr. Bolton was reportedly hiding it under his mustache. This is apparently the same technique he used to smuggle information in and out of the State Department. Apparently, it was President Trump who alerted the FBI to make sure they checked under his mustache. He said, and I quote, "Make sure you look under that son of a bitch's mustache. I never trusted that mustache."
And see, what did I tell you? It's true. No one trusts that mustache. Now, I had a mustache for numerous years as a cop, but now it's a full beard, so everyone trusts me. Look here. I want to point this out. Here's a thumb drive. Now, do you think if I wanted, I could insert that thumb drive here in my mustache, here in my voluminous beard, and you couldn't find it? Look, there it is. Now I've hidden it, and you can't find it. It's not in there. You didn't see it. That's not my beard, and that's not my thumb drive. Moving right along. Oh, I may make it to the end. Let me stop this and put it back up. Remember I told you this was an important safety tip? I'm still going to play this because of the nature of this, but I'm still going to provide my advisory. See what? I don't see anything. See? Exactly my point. If Bolton can pull it off, I can pull it off. And now you know the true reason for Bolton, for his becoming under arrest. He could smuggle anything out, anywhere, if he wanted. So the Air Force apparently completed their investigation with regard to the Sig Sauer P-320, and it's called the M18 in the military. I'm going to play this, and then I will make some comments because it's the Air Force, and there was more going on at the time, but I will opine on this at the end. Okay, stop. Truly, this is staggeringly bad. Stars and Stripes reported out of 7,900 M18s inspected, 191 of them had issues. It's a firearm. Somebody's life is in jeopardy if that thing doesn't work. 191 of those firearms had armoring issues, weapons issues. That's bad. That's really bad. That doesn't exonerate SIG. The Air Force seems to think it exonerates the gun. Continue. Now, this is true. An arrest was made in connection with the death of an airman. And it's not impossible that that airman, in the process of using that weapon, used it to his or her advantage and took advantage of the narrative with the P-320. But that doesn't mean that the P-320 doesn't require your inspection and focus. Now they say, hoo-yah. Well, that's a good thing, right? I say no. Look and go search and find all the stories about the SIG P-320 about uncommanded discharges. And again, I say, with regard to my show, I get it. There's so much going on. How do you keep up? How do you keep track? My job is to try to do that for you. But I'm not making any of this stuff up. I gave you a security alert and will continue to give you security alerts about the SIG P-320. I don't make it up. I don't have to. I bring the articles. I have the videos. I find all these things on the internet. I'm a moron, but I can still do it. And these are the things that primarily the American media maggots do not want to bring to your attention. I may tell you my seg story. I was the range master for my 3,000 plus officer department, where I was in charge of all things that go boom and bang. And we had SIGs that were issued to us at the time. There's a lot more to this story today. What do I have? I got about 4 more minutes to wrap this up. So can I do it? Let's take this off the stage. I think I have 2 more stories. Okay, I'm not going to go into that one because I am going to have to wrap this up very soon. I will, however, do this because this is a new segment, and I had some graphics made for this new segment today. So I'm going to go ahead and play it because it's, let me see if I can get to this. I'll see, this is me being my own producer. This isn't Merlin Queffel. I have to do this myself. So let's go here.
Tales from the racist, sexist industrial complex, courtesy of BZ, here on the Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show.
As the last story of the night, you tell me if you think that this lovely female is a racist. Go.
Really quickly, Abby, because anytime that we play something from Stephen Miller, it would be journalistic integrity to point out that he is a white supremacist and he is the brainchild behind this policy. That's not my opinion. That's actual facts. And for him to purport lies from the Oval Office as a white supremacist. I don't know.
Said the racist black female herself. This is a tale from the racist, sexist industrial complex. I'll continue to play this as long as I can and try not to regurgitate.
It should be pointed out. It's reporting. Washington Wall Street Journal's own reporting.
I want to address what he's
really quickly, Abby, because anytime that we play something from Stephen Miller, it would be journalistic integrity to point out that he is a white supremacist. And
really, Stephen Miller is a white supremacist. To which I would reply, you know what? Who's the racist? It seems to me that you are, black female. I have no idea who you are. I don't know your name. I don't care. But you should look inwards because you, Bint, are the racist yourself. And so, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for being here tonight and listening to my show, BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media YouTube channel, on Rumble, on KLRN, and a whole bunch of different places where you can find great things like this throughout the show. Promotional consideration, of course, is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, by Shure and Electro Voice microphones, by Arrakis Boards, the people that manufacture my mixer, and also by Pratt & Whitney Engines, producing Thrust. You can trust. Tonight, tiaras, just like normal, are by My Little Pony, and I think this is a great tiara. You'll be seeing it again, especially considering next year. So, I want to thank everybody for taking time, and I also want to thank, personally, my KC-135 Kettle One refueling team with whom I shall be consorting very shortly, everyone who was here, watching live, later in podcast, to all of you being in chat. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing? Good night. Good night,
Good night, and good luck.
Is it really over? Or will BZ come back in just a moment?